The night my brother got my fiancée pregnant, my dad gave him our $2 million family business as a reward, and I got to watch them destroy everything I'd spent 15 years building. I was 31 when I learned that being the responsible son means nothing if your golden child brother can't keep it in his pants. The same brother who'd never worked a 60-hour week in his life, who couldn't read a blueprint if his life depended on it, who spent more money partying than most people make in a year. The pregnancy announcement happened at Sunday dinner in my parents' dining room. Sophie, my fiancée of 3 years, sat there 8 weeks pregnant with my brother Alex's kid, while my parents talked about timelines and next steps. She mumbled something about doing a DNA test if anyone needed proof. No one did. The math was obvious. My father looked me in the eye and said this was what's best for the family. Then he laid out his solution like it was a board meeting. Alex would marry Sophie, step up as a father, and take over Thompson Construction, the company my dad had built over 25 years, and I'd kept running since I was 16. Family is family, he said. We take care of our own. What he didn't know when he handed Alex the keys was that the golden child was already about to steal $75,000 from the company accounts, fake the books to cover it up, and disappear with my ex-fiancée when the FBI started asking questions. 18 months later, Thompson Construction was a bankruptcy case study. My parents were alone with the fallout, and I was a licensed master electrician making more money on my own than their golden child ever dreamed of. Family is family until consequences show up. Thompson Construction had been my life since I was 16 years old. Dad started the company 25 years ago with a pickup truck, a toolbox, and more stubbornness than capital. I started that first summer after high school, framing houses, hauling lumber, learning electrical, doing whatever needed doing. By 21, I was running job sites. By 25, I was handling client relationships and managing the books. If something went wrong, my phone rang first. Alex showed up to work when he felt like it. While I was pulling 80-hour weeks in the summer heat, Alex was sleeping off hangovers and talking about finding himself. While I was learning building codes and managing subcontractors, he was partying with college friends and charging everything to Dad's credit card. While I was saving 3 months' salary for Sophie's engagement ring, Alex was blowing through his trust fund on a car that cost more than most people make in a year. The difference was simple. I had work ethic. Alex had charm. And in my family, charm always won. Dad had a script for Alex's behavior. He's young, he's still figuring things out. He'll mature when he's ready. But when I made a mistake, missed a deadline because we were understaffed, went over budget because material costs spiked, there were no scripts, only lectures. Responsibility, accountability. You represent the family name now. I got talks about work ethic. Alex got a pat on the back and gas money. The pattern never changed. Alex would mess up, I would fix it, and somehow Alex would get credit for the solution. Sophie seemed different from the women Alex usually brought around. She was a nursing student working part-time at the hospital with goals that didn't involve burning through someone else's bank account. When we started dating 3 years ago, she asked real questions about the business, about my plans, about what I wanted to build. She said she admired how hard I worked. She said she respected that I was building something with my hands. She said she wanted to be part of what I was creating. I spent 3 months' salary on her engagement ring. We picked October for the wedding because she wanted fall colors. We looked at houses in the suburbs because she wanted a place to raise kids. We talked about her finishing nursing school and maybe working part-time while I took on more responsibility at Thompson Construction. I thought we were building something real. I was wrong about a lot back then. Wrong about Sophie, wrong about Alex, and very wrong about what family is family actually meant in our house. The conversation that ended my old life happened on a Tuesday night in Sophie's apartment. She'd been acting strange for weeks, canceling dinner plans, dodging family gatherings, blaming extra shifts at the hospital. When I finally cornered her about it, she sat on the edge of her bed, stared at the floor, and went quiet in a way that made my stomach drop. "I'm pregnant," she said. My first reaction was math money timing. Moving up the wedding. My second reaction was relief that we finally had an answer for why she'd been distant. My third reaction was to reach for her hand and tell her we'd figure it out. She pulled her hand away. "It's not yours, Marcus." For a second, the words didn't register, like hearing static instead of language. I asked her to repeat it. She did. Then I asked the only question left, even though I already knew the answer. "Whose is it?" "Alex's." 8 weeks pregnant. That meant it started while we were picking out invitations, while we were touring houses, while I was working overtime at Thompson Construction to prove my work ethic and save for our future. She said it happened more than once. Sophie offered to do a DNA test if I needed proof. I didn't. The timeline was its own receipt. My golden child brother had been sleeping with my fiancée for months while I was building a life nobody else in the room apparently wanted. 3 days later, Dad called an emergency family meeting. I walked into my parents' dining room expecting to talk about consequences. Instead, I walked into a board meeting. Dad at the head of the table with a legal pad full of bullet points. Mom looking like she'd been crying but had decided to treat this like paperwork. Alex slouched in the corner, guilty but weirdly entitled. Sophie 8 weeks pregnant with his kid sitting in the chair that used to be reserved for my future wife. Here's what's going to happen. Dad said no greeting, no apology. Alex will marry Sophie next month. They'll have the baby. Alex will take over day-to-day operations at Thompson Construction. This is what's best for the family business. He didn't ask what I thought. He didn't ask what I wanted. Family is family. Translation, the golden child blows up my life and I'm the one who gets replaced. I sat there for a full minute waiting for someone to acknowledge how insane this sounded. Alex gets my fiancée pregnant and somehow the reward is my inheritance and my job. 15 years of work ethic thrown out the window because the golden child couldn't keep it in his pants. I looked around the table for sanity and found none. You're serious, I said. Dead serious, Dad replied. Alex needs to step up, take responsibility, and Thompson Construction needs continuity. Alex has never run a job site without me cleaning up behind him. He'll learn. He can't read blueprints. He'll learn. He doesn't know the first thing about managing subcontractors, dealing with inspectors, or handling client relationships. Marcus, Dad's voice went sharp. This is happening. Alex's family. Sophie is carrying our grandchild. The business stays in the family. I stared at him. What am I? Your family too, he said, like that fixed anything. But family is family. Family means making sacrifices for each other. Alex made a mistake, and now we all need to step up and help him fix it. You're either family or you're not. So let me understand this, I said. Alex sleeps with my fiancée, gets her pregnant, lies about it for weeks, and my role in this solution is losing my job and my inheritance so he can play house with the woman I was supposed to marry. It's not punishment. What would you call it? Dad closed his legal pad like the meeting was over. Mom still hadn't said a word. Alex was studying his shoes like they contained the meaning of life. Sophie was staring out the window, 8 weeks pregnant with my brother's kid and somehow still invited to the table. I'll call it consequences, Dad said finally. You can either be part of the solution or you can be part of the problem. But this family is moving forward with or without you. There it was, family as a weapon, not a promise. I stood up. Keep your family, I said. I told them to keep their family. Then I walked out of that dining room and didn't look back. I drove straight to my apartment, packed everything that actually belonged to me and loaded it into my truck. My tools, my clothes, my books about electrical codes and business management. I left the engagement ring on the kitchen counter and my key to Thompson Construction on top of it. My bank account had $847 in it. I had a 10-year-old truck, a full set of tools, and 15 years of experience in a trade I knew better than anyone in that house. Within a week, I was picking up day labor jobs at construction sites across town. Cash under the table. No company shirts, no family name on the side of the truck, no lectures about what's best for the business. Just work that needed doing and men who understood that showing up on time and knowing your trade was all that mattered. It wasn't easy money, but it was honest money. They kept their golden child. I kept my work ethic. 6 weeks later, I heard about the wedding through a mutual friend. Small ceremony, immediate family only. Alex in a rented tux, Sophie in a dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Somewhere between the vows and the cake, Dad officially announced Alex as the new operations manager of Thompson Construction. The golden child got everything I'd worked for. I was busy. Day labor turned into a regular spot on a crew doing electrical work for a mid-size contractor. The foreman liked that I showed up on time, knew my trade, and didn't need hand-holding. After a month, he offered me steady work. After 2 months, he started pulling me aside on complicated jobs. After 3 months, he said, "You've got the knowledge. You should be working toward your master electrician's license and getting paid what you're worth." While Alex was cutting a wedding cake, I was cutting holes in drywall and learning commercial panels. Meanwhile, Thompson Construction started making headlines for all the wrong reasons. At first, it was small stuff. A bathroom remodel that took 3 weeks instead of 1. A kitchen renovation that went 20% over budget. Clients complaining that Alex didn't return phone calls, that job sites were messy, that the work wasn't up to the Thompson standard. Then it got worse. A restaurant renovation worth $80,000 missed its opening deadline by 6 weeks. The client had to postpone their grand opening, twice lost their whole summer season, and started talking about lawsuits. A whole house renovation had to be completely rewired because Alex had signed off on electrical work that didn't meet code. Janet, the company secretary, started calling me. 15 years with my dad. She'd seen Thompson Construction built from one truck into a $2 million business. "I don't know what to do, Marcus," she said in one of her late-night calls. "Alex doesn't know how to read the books. He's approving invoices without checking them. He signed a contract yesterday that loses money even if everything goes perfect. Your dad keeps saying family is family, but the numbers don't care about family. He was running it into the ground and everyone inside could see it except the people sharing his last name. I was too busy building something else. Night school for electrical theory, weekends with exam prep books, business management classes at the community college from a professor who'd never heard of Thompson Construction and didn't care who my father was. I was learning that work ethic without family politics is a powerful thing. Day labor turned into apprentice work. Apprentice work turned into journeyman status. Journeyman work turned into bigger projects, better pay, and contractors who knew my name because of what I could do, not because of the logo on my shirt. For the first time in years, I could see my future clearly: master electrician's license within 2 years, my own contracting business within 5. Something that belonged to me. Something no family meeting could vote away. No golden child could sleep his way into. No what's best for the family speech could touch. Alex got the family business. I got something better: proof that my work ethic was worth more than my father's approval. Thompson Construction was headed exactly where Alex's choices were taking it. I didn't have to sabotage anything. I didn't have to get revenge. All I had to do was step back, do my own work, and let consequences catch up. 2 years after I walked away, Thompson Construction filed for bankruptcy. I found out the same way everyone else did. Janet called me at 7 in the morning, crying so hard I could barely understand her. "It's over, Marcus," she sobbed. "The business is gone. Your dad's gonna lose everything." The collapse had been coming for months. Alex burned through the company's cash reserves, defaulted on 3 major contracts, and racked up over $300,000 in losses. 2 clients filed lawsuits. The state licensing board opened an investigation into substandard work. The insurance carrier refused to renew our policy. But that still wasn't the worst part. The golden child was a thief. When we met at a downtown diner, Janet spread printouts across the table like evidence in court. She'd been tracking irregularities in the books for 8 months, money disappearing from project accounts, invoices that didn't match any actual materials, checks written to subcontractors nobody on site had ever heard of. "He thought I was too old to understand computers," Janet said, steady now. "I've been doing books since before he could tie his shoes. Look at this. $75,000 missing from the accounts. Falsified invoices for materials never delivered. Checks written to shell companies Alex had set up to funnel money into personal accounts. A forged signature on a loan application that put Dad's house up as collateral without his knowledge. He's been stealing for 8 months, Janet said. When I confronted him, he told me to mind my own business or find another job. The FBI got involved when one of the defrauded clients filed a complaint. Federal wire fraud, money laundering, tax issues. The kind of charges you don't fix with a family meeting and a lecture about family is family. Alex did what golden children do when consequences finally show up. He ran. 2 days before the FBI arrived with a warrant, Alex and Sophie cleaned out their joint bank account and disappeared. No goodbye, no apology, no offer to fix anything, just gone. They left a note on my parents' kitchen table. 3 sentences typed, not handwritten. "We know what's coming. We can't fix what's been done. We're starting over somewhere else." No apology to Dad for destroying his life's work. No mention of the employees who lost their jobs. No mention of the clients they'd cheated. Not even a line about the grandchild Dad had rearranged his entire world for. Just 3 sentences and a forwarding address that turned out to be a P.O. box in a town nobody had heard of. The golden child walked away. Everyone else was left holding the bill. I drove to my parents' house the day the bankruptcy paperwork was filed. Dad sat at the kitchen table staring at legal documents he couldn't afford to fight. Mom was upstairs probably crying. The house felt like a funeral home. "I need your help," Dad said without looking up. He looked older than I'd ever seen him. Janet says you're the only one who knows the business well enough to salvage anything. Janet had brought her records with her. Not just the theft, but the pattern that led up to it. Alex's incompetence, his refusal to listen, the way he'd driven away longtime clients and burned bridges with reliable subs. Marcus was the only reason this company survived as long as it did, she told Dad. 15 years of him covering mistakes, fixing problems, keeping clients happy. Alex destroyed in 18 months what Marcus spent 15 years building. She said it plain. No sugarcoating, no family is family, just work ethic and consequences. Dad finally looked at me. For the first time in my life, there was something in his eyes that looked a lot like respect, or maybe just desperation. I was wrong, he said, about Alex, about the business, about you. It was honest. It was also 2 years, $75,000, and one bankrupt company too late. I didn't answer right away. I looked at my father sitting at his kitchen table surrounded by the wreckage of everything he'd built, everything he'd thrown away for the golden child. What do you want from me? I asked. Help me save what's left, he said. You know the clients, you know the vendors, you know how the business actually works. Janet's right, you're the only one who can pull this out. And then what I asked. Alex comes back from wherever he's hiding and takes over again. Alex is gone, Dad said. This is about the family name. This is about not letting 25 years of work just disappear. I stood up. Dad, let me be clear. You have nothing left to offer me. No business, no money, no leverage. You chose Alex over me when he got my fiancée pregnant, and now you're sitting in the aftermath asking me to clean up his mess one more time. He opened his mouth like he was about to say it again, that line he always used. Family is family, he started. Yeah, I said, and this is what family did. I left without giving him an answer. For the next 6 months, I let every call go to voicemail. Dad called twice a week. Sometimes it was business asking about old client contacts, wondering which vendors might still work with Thompson Construction, wanting advice about the bankruptcy. Sometimes it was personal updates about Mom's health, awkward questions about my life, clumsy attempts to rebuild something he'd helped burn down. I never picked up. While he chased what was left of the family business, I was busy building the life I should have had all along. I passed the master electrician's exam on the first try, started picking up my own contracts. Within 18 months, I had 3 guys working for me on commercial projects, pulling down $150,000 a year and building a reputation that had nothing to do with the Thompson name. Work ethic pays better than family connections. Contractors knew me for clean inspections and jobs finished on time, not for being the responsible son. They didn't care that my brother got my fiancée pregnant or that my dad handed him a $2 million company as a reward. They cared that I showed up, did the work right the first time, and didn't make excuses. I had my own truck with my own logo, my own business cards, my own insurance policy, my own client list. No one could take away with a family meeting or a speech about what was best for the family. Everything I was building finally belonged to me. The call that changed things came on a Thursday evening. Not from Dad this time, but from Mom. Your father's in the hospital, she said. Heart attack. The doctors say he's stable, but... Her voice cracked. Marcus, I know you're angry. I know we hurt you, but he's asking for you. Is it serious? I asked. Serious enough, she said. The doctors say the next few days will tell us a lot. Marcus, if something happens and you haven't talked to him... She didn't finish. She didn't have to. That was the risk if I went. He might try to pull me back into the mess. If I stayed away, I might spend the rest of my life wondering what he'd wanted to say. So I made a simple plan. I would go to the hospital. I would listen. I would not sign anything, call any clients, or agree to one last favor for the family business. No more cleaning up after the golden child. No more sacrificing my work ethic to save people from the consequences they'd earned. I decided to hear what he had to say, nothing more. The hospital conversation lasted 10 minutes. Dad was propped up in bed looking pale and older than his 62 years. Heart monitors beeped in the background. Mom sat in the corner chair watching me like she wasn't sure I was real. Marcus, Dad said, thank you for coming. I stood at the foot of his bed. Mom said you wanted to talk. I did. I do. He struggled to sit up a little straighter. I've been thinking a lot about the business, about what happened, about the choices I made. And I want to sign Thompson Construction over to you, he said. Whatever's left of it, start fresh, we could rebuild together. I looked at him for a long moment. Dad, there is no Thompson Construction, it's bankrupt. Alex stole everything that wasn't nailed down, and what he couldn't steal, he destroyed through incompetence. We could start over. No, I said, we couldn't. He opened his mouth to argue, but I didn't let him. You chose Alex when he got my fiancée pregnant. You chose him when you handed him my job, my inheritance, and the business I helped build. Now that the golden child has burned it all down, you want me to show up and fix it again. That's not family, that's using someone. He flinched at the word. I'm not here to save Thompson Construction. I finished. I'm here so you can say whatever you need to say without pretending there's a deal on the table. For once he didn't have a speech ready, he just nodded tired. 3 weeks later, he called another family meeting. This time it was at the house with Mom, my 2 uncles, and my Aunt Carol, the extended family who'd watched the whole mess unfold from a distance but never got the full story. Same dining room, same table, same man at the head like it was 20 years ago. I've been doing a lot of thinking, Dad announced, standing with a folder in his hands, about the business, about family, about what matters. He opened the folder and pulled out legal documents. Transfer of ownership papers for whatever was left of Thompson Construction. A written apology that looked like it had been drafted by a lawyer. An offer to rebuild the business from scratch with me as the official owner this time. I was wrong about Alex, he said, looking directly at me. I was wrong about the business. I was wrong about you. He swallowed hard. You were the one with the work ethic. You were the one who knew the trade. You were the one who built relationships with clients and vendors. Alex was charming, but charm doesn't wire a house or manage a job site. Mom nodded along. My uncles looked uncomfortable. Aunt Carol kept glancing at me like she was waiting for my reaction, like this was supposed to be the big redemption scene where the prodigal father finally gets it and I melt. I'm offering you everything, Dad continued. Full ownership, your name on the papers, a chance to rebuild the Thompson legacy the right way. I listened to the whole speech, watched him lay out the papers like he was offering me the world instead of the wreckage of what I'd already built once. When he finished, I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out my business card. Thompson Electrical Services, I said, placing one on the table. Licensed master electrician, fully bonded and insured, 3 full-time employees, steady commercial contracts, and a 6-month waiting list for new residential clients. He stared at the card like it was written in another language. I already rebuilt, Dad. I've been rebuilding for 3 years, and I did it without the Thompson Construction name, without the family connections, and without anyone's permission. The room went quiet. As for Alex, I continued, last I heard he's got federal charges pending, wire fraud, money laundering, tax evasion. Sophie left him 6 months ago when the money ran out. Turns out loyalty has a price point, and it's somewhere south of bankruptcy. Aunt Carol gasped. One of my uncles swore under his breath. Mom looked down at her hands. The golden child didn't just destroy the family business, I said. He destroyed his own life in the process. I tapped the stack of documents Dad had laid out. He stole $75,000 from the company, forged your signature on loan documents, set up shell companies to funnel money into his personal accounts. The FBI has a file on him thicker than most murder cases. We know, Mom said quietly. The lawyers told us. Then you know Alex didn't just make a mistake, I said. He didn't just show poor judgment or need time to mature. He's a criminal who happens to share our last name. I stood up. You gave him my fiancée, my job, and my inheritance because he got her pregnant. You told me that family is family and we take care of our own. Well, here's the thing about family, it works both ways. Dad opened his mouth, then closed it again. There was nothing left to spin. The golden child destroyed everything he touched, I said. That's not my consequence to carry. I picked up my business card from the table and slid it back into my pocket. I've got a job to finish tomorrow, I said. Commercial building downtown, new electrical panel installation, $40,000 contract that I won and will complete on time and under budget. Because that's what work ethic does, it builds things that last. I looked around the table one more time. Alex got the family business, I said. I got something better, proof that I never needed any of you to succeed. I turned to leave. Family is family, I added, but consequences are consequences. And for once, everybody at that table understood which one finally mattered. I walked out of that dining room and never looked back. 6 months later, I heard through Janet that the FBI had finally caught up with Alex. They picked him up at a cheap motel outside Phoenix, living under a fake name and working construction for cash. Sophie wasn't with him. She'd left when the stolen money ran out and the reality of being married to a federal fugitive set in. Alex pled guilty to wire fraud and money laundering. 18 months in federal prison, 3 years of probation, and a lifetime ban from any business involving government contracts. The golden child finally met consequences he couldn't charm his way out of. Thompson Construction was liquidated to pay creditors. Dad lost the house, the trucks, the tools, and the reputation he'd spent 25 years building. He and Mom moved into a rental apartment across town. The family legacy that was supposed to last generations died in bankruptcy court. The family legacy died with it. Meanwhile, my business kept growing. Word travels fast in construction when someone does clean work and finishes jobs on time. I went from 3 employees to 8 from residential side jobs to major commercial contracts, from making do to making real money. I bought my own building and put my name on the sign. Hired an office manager who actually knew her job. Opened business accounts that belonged to me. Built client relationships that couldn't be voted away in a family meeting. Earned a reputation based on work ethic instead of bloodline. Everything I built was mine. No golden child could sleep his way into it. No what's best for everyone's speech could touch it. Work ethic built everything they destroyed. 5 years later, I got a Christmas card from Mom. A photo of her and Dad in their small apartment, looking older and smaller than I remembered. On the back, she'd written, "We think about you often. Hope you're well. Love, Mom and Dad." I looked at it for about 30 seconds, then threw it away. I don't hate them. I don't wish them harm. I don't spend time wondering what might have been different if they'd made better choices. Hate takes energy I'd rather spend on my business, my employees, and my future. They chose the golden child. They chose family as family over fairness, charm over work ethic, blood over justice. Those were their decisions. The consequences are theirs to carry. I chose different. I chose to build something that couldn't be taken away by family politics or golden child syndrome. I chose to prove that work ethic matters more than last names. I chose to walk away from people who only valued me when they needed something fixed. Some families aren't worth keeping, and walking away was the best deal I ever took.